Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar about scholarships and bursaries. My name is Yolana Wassersug. I am Assistant Registrar Student Recruitment at the University of King's College. Right now, I'm in the beautiful boardroom at King's on a kind of windy, cold Tuesday evening. You might be able to hear the sound of the wind howling in the window behind me. I hope it's not too loud or distracting because I know you all have a lot of questions about scholarships and bursaries. I can see that a few of you are logged in already, so thanks for joining us. If you have questions, there is a chat box feature in this webinar, and you can type those questions in. We're going to do a Q&A at the end, so if you start asking me questions, I'm going to do my best to make sure we answer as many of them as possible. And just so you have a sense of what we're going to do here this evening, we're going to take about 30 minutes of your time. I'm going to describe a little bit of the scholarships that we offer here at King's. And some information about the application process. I'm also going to touch on bursaries, and then I'm going to turn it over to our special guest, Dr. Peter O'Brien. He's here.
Hi.
That's him. Peter is a professor here at King's and DAL in classics. He also is the vice president of King's, and he's also on our scholarship committee. So he is going to be a very useful resource in giving some tips and tricks about how to write a great scholarships essay. So that's the general plan for this evening. Feel free to share your questions as we move along. So let's get started. So King's offers two types of scholarships, two main types of scholarships that you're going to want to know about. We call them general entrance awards and major entrance awards. And I should be able to show you a little bit more information about that by sharing my screen. Just one second. Perfect. So our two types of scholarships, as I said, are called general entrance awards and major entrance awards. General entrance awards are the ones that are really straightforward, really easy. The basic thing you need to know about general entrance awards is that every student who applies is going to be considered for one of these awards as long as you apply by March 1st. We're going to base our decision about giving those scholarships on your academic average. So you can see this chart at the top of my slide here that shows different ranges of academic grades that you might have. If you have between an 85% grade and an 89.9, you are guaranteed to get a scholarship of $2,000. And you can see that it goes up the higher your grades are, the more scholarship funds we're going to give you. So if you have an average of 95 or higher, it's a scholarship of $3,500. Those scholarships are renewable, and that means that if you continue to get strong grades while you're a student at King's, you'll continue to receive scholarship funding. So the number that you can see on that chart is the amount per year rather than the total cumulative amount for 4 years. Those awards, like I said, very straightforward. You'll be automatically considered as long as you apply to King's by March 1st. You don't have to submit any other paperwork, any other special kinds of application process. It's just nice and easy. And when I say academic average, when I'm talking about an academic average of an 85% to 95 plus, what I mean is that we're going to be looking at your grades from high school, from grade 11 or 12, depending on when you apply. And we don't look at every single class you ever took in high school. We're mainly interested in seeing 5 grade 12 level academic classes on your transcript, 5 classes that are going to kind of make up that average. Depending on the program you're interested in, we're going to be looking to see different kinds of classes. So if you're interested in coming to King's to study arts or journalism or music, we're going to be looking at your grade in your English class and then the next 4 strongest classes that you have. So it's English and the next 4 strongest classes you have that we average together. And if you're looking to come to King's to do a science program, we're going to be looking at your grade in English and math and the next 3 strongest classes that you have. As always, and I'm going to say this a few times during this webinar, if you have any questions about the admissions process, you can always get in touch with us by emailing admissions@ukings.ca. I'd be happy to talk you through it more. You might have questions about which specific classes we're going to look at based on which province or state or country you live in. Those are definitely questions we can answer. You should email us with those at admissions@ukings.ca. So those are the general entrance awards. Like I said, they range from $2,000 to $3,500 in renewable awards with no additional application process needed. And then that brings us to the awards you can see on this part of the slide. These are called major awards or major entrance awards. What you can see here is that these awards range in their value. So some of them are worth $1,000 to $2,000. Others, like the Donald R. Sobey Family Scholarship, is worth $50,000. And so these are substantial awards. You'll also notice that many of them are named after different foundations, people who are important that we wanted to honor by naming an award after them, such as Dr. Carrie Best or Samuel Prince, or people who are alumni of the university or donors that have made the award possible, as in the case of the Deborah Dean Little Award or the Ralph and Carrie Wright Memorial Scholarship. So all of those stories, all of those scholarships have a story to tell, and you can read those stories on our website. And you can also read more about students that have received these awards and find out more about the impact that an award like that has had on their life. And those stories are awesome and inspiring, but I'm sure the thing that you care most about today is how do you get one? How do you apply? So that's what we're going to focus on. For many of these major awards, you'll be writing an original essay in order to apply. Not all of them. You don't need to write an original essay for the King's Theatrical Society Award or for the Deborah Dean Little and Robert Little Academic Scholarships for Varsity Athletes. But the other awards on this list do include an original essay, and that's why I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Peter O'Brien with a few more tips and tricks about writing those essays in just a moment. The other thing you should know about these awards is that some of them are eligible to different groups of students. So for example, the Donald R. Sobey Family Scholarship, that one is open to any Canadian citizen from across Canada. The Harrison McCain Award is open to anyone who went to a Canadian high school. So you don't have to be a Canadian citizen, but you do have to be attending high school in Canada. And then there's awards like the Ralph and Carrie Wright Memorial Scholarship, which is open to any student from anywhere who is entering King's as a first-year undergraduate. Some of these awards are specifically earmarked for students with particular interests or from particular backgrounds. You can probably guess by the name King's Theatrical Society Award that that one is open to students that have a passion for theater. And so if you apply for it, you're going to want to include some information about your background in theater, community plays you've been involved in, for instance. That's all going to contribute to the application process. And then the Carrie Best Scholarship and Prince Scholarships, those are specifically for students of a particular background. The Carrie Best Scholarship is open to any student in Canada of African Canadian or Indigenous descent. The Prince Scholarship is open to any African Nova Scotian students. So those are all awards you can be aware of. You can read more about the criteria for all of these awards on our website by going to ukings.ca/scholarships. So that's a basic landscape of all of our scholarships. You'll notice in the big letters right on this slide, it says 95% of first-year students receive financial support from King's. When we say financial support, we mean scholarships and also bursaries. So if you've ever been curious about the difference between a scholarship and a bursary, the thing you should know is that scholarships are based on merit. They're based on grades, and sometimes also things like extracurriculars or other kinds of ways that you demonstrate merit. Bursaries are based on financial need. And a student can have both a scholarship and a bursary. You can apply for bursaries on our website. When you do, we're going to ask you some pretty detailed questions about how you expect to make the budget for your education. And you're going to explain what funds you already have that you'll be contributing to paying for your education. And we're going to do our best to try to fill the unmet need between the budget that you've created and what you already have. That's how a bursary works. One tip and trick that might be useful for you to know, when you apply to King's to be a student here, one of the questions we ask on our application form is if you are a student who's planning to get a loan to finance your education, and it's just a yes or no question, so you'll need to select yes or no when you fill out the application form. Even if you don't know the answer, I recommend ticking yes when you fill out that application form, because if you've identified that you think you'll be getting a loan to finance your education, we'll automatically send you more information about the bursary application process. So that can be really helpful and worthwhile. One other thing I wanted to highlight is that the awards that I'm talking about today are awards that are specific to King's College. So these are awards that kind of are happening internally through the University of King's College. However, if you're someone who's looking for opportunities to get scholarships and get financial aid for university, something you should keep in mind is that there's also a lot of organizations outside of this university that have scholarship money to give away. And you can research those. I definitely encourage you to visit websites like scholarshipscanada.com, or maybe it's .ca. Google Scholarships Canada, or Google disability awards, for instance. You might find that if you're a student who has Crohn's and colitis, for example, or diabetes, that there are specific awards that are earmarked just for you. You might find that a community group that you belong to, for example, your local church or synagogue or mosque offers special awards and scholarships that are available to students. You might even discover that the place where your parent or guardian works has a scholarships program that's available for the children of employees. So those are all avenues to look into, along with applying for awards that are offered here through King's. We always like to encourage students to check out all the avenues, apply far and wide, because there's a lot of money out there that you can't get if you don't apply for. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. So I think that's the bulk of what I wanted to tell you about today. I can see that there's a question in the Q&A. Oh, perfect. There is a question or Q&A from one of the people who's in this webinar about when they'll find out if they're receiving a general entrance scholarship. That's a really good question. So with our general entrance awards, some of our applicants, the folks who are getting the $3,500 awards, find out on the same day that they receive their offer of admission. We send those out right away. If you're receiving another one of our general entrance scholarships, you'll find out after March 1st. That's when we kind of pool all of our applicants, make sure we have a good sense of everyone we're giving scholarship offers to, and send out those letters in the mail. So you'll find out shortly after March 1st for the general entrance scholarships. And for the major awards, we try to do it as quickly as possible. But one thing to keep in mind in terms of finding out if you got a major award is that those award decisions go to a committee that's internal here at King's. And some of them also then go to an external committee. So for example, the Sobey Award and the Harrison McCain Award, with those awards, our committee meets here at King's and recommends students on a short list to that external committee, and then that committee has to meet. And I know that sounds like a lot, and it is frustrating to wait, but believe me, we are always working as hard as we can to get those decisions out as quickly as possible, because we know that those decisions affect the decisions that you're gonna make. So those are all kind of helpful things to know. I hope that was a useful answer to that question. And just keep in mind, you can always type in more questions into our Q&A. But I feel like this is a really good time to introduce Dr. Peter O'Brien and give him a chance to say more about writing a great scholarship essay. And so, Peter, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, thank you, Yolanda. Yeah, so as Yolanda said, I'm the chair of both the Bursary Committee and the Scholarship Committee. And I just reiterate what Yolanda has had to say about applications for bursaries. We've recently invested a whole lot more resource into our bursary plan, which makes more funding available for students in need, those who qualify for bursaries, either at the entrance level or in course on an as-needed basis. So there's never any harm in applying, nor in asking our registrar's office about eligibility requirements. So just to the matter of scholarships, as I say, as a member of that committee and the chair of it, I have an opportunity, a happy opportunity every year to review oodles of applications for our various major awards. And as Yolanda mentioned as well, most of those awards have with them specific application procedures. which many of which require an essay. The application forms are asking for all sorts of information about extracurricular activities, work activities, as well as your academic experiences. There are many of them holistic scholarships that are based not just on your academic prowess, although they lean heavily on that, but also in your out of school activities, and in some cases your in school activities as well. But what most of them share in common is an essay. And this year, our essay was selected from the 16th century French author, Michel de Montaigne, who is taught in our foundation year program every year. And it's an essay question that is meant to challenge and meant to bring out an independent response from those who are applying for scholarships. It's meant not to test your skills at research or Wikipedia investigation. We're not looking for biographical material on the author. We know that, but we've chosen a topic that presents a pithy idea or quotation that demands a certain kind of analysis and reflection. And we're looking for the interesting and thorough response to that. So this year's essay question is as follows. There's a quotation that runs like this: "Let his variety of ideas be set before him. He will choose if he can. If not, he will remain in doubt. Only the fools are certain and assured." So you're asked in that question to address the contention that doubt is something valuable. What's the value of doubt? Why would doubt be a good thing rather than certainty? And conversely, why would certainty or absolute self-assurance be the mark of a fool rather than of a wise person? Really, the question is all about why understanding a variety of ideas, or being able to juggle a variety of ideas, might make us better at making choices and negotiating our way through the world. So it's not an easy question. And in fact, there's no right answer either. The committee members are going to be evaluating you on the clarity of your response and as well the quality of the answer you give. So just a few tips on how you might approach the writing of an essay on a question like this. First of all, you have a limited amount of space to reply, so you want to stay within the limits that are set for you. That establishes an even playing field and also makes life not impossible for the members of the committee who might be going through lots and lots of applications. So you want to aim at clarity, and that means an essay that has a thesis statement. It's an essay that organizes all the ideas that you present under a single blueprint, one might say, that's expressed at the beginning of your essay, that guides your reader in the kind of considerations that you've taken in analyzing the question and in thinking up a response, and then organizes all of the specific reasons for why you've reached the conclusion you have in the following paragraphs that follow a sequential order. So this is something that you don't want to just jot down in the space provided or in the word length that is specified in a kind of stream of consciousness, but something that you want to prepare a draft and perhaps a redraft of in order to make the most concise and cogent, powerful argument in the answer, in your answer to that question. You want to proofread, make sure that you haven't misspelled in persuading others of your of the validity of your argument. You don't want to distract with things like misspelling or lack of formatting. And as I said before, you don't want to try to game the system. You don't want to try to give the readers of this essay the answer that you think they want. You want to give the answer that you believe is best supported by the evidence that you bring forward in your reflection. You might want to support your ideas with examples from history or from present day life or even your own experience. And those things all come from your personal choice and your personal reflection, not from somebody else's idea of what the answer may be. So be yourself, but be your best self in these essays. The reader can always tell if it's an original piece of work. The only other thing I would address, if that seems good, is the matter of soliciting letters of recommendation, asking for letters of recommendation. You're usually required to provide those testimonials, those verifications of your awesomeness from those who know you best. Usually you're going to go to a teacher or perhaps a principal for at least one of those essays. This is somebody who should know you well, know your work well, and somebody who has been given ample time to consider your request. So the 11th hour request isn't usually much appreciated by those who have to provide these testimonials. And also, if you give them ample time, a lot of time to consider their response and prepare for it, they'll produce a more usable and effective statement on your behalf as well. So outside of school, references, referees should be people who know you well, perhaps somebody from the workplace or a volunteer activity, but somebody who's going to be able to speak to your character and to your aptitude as a student, right? Because this is, after all, what a scholarship application is all about. It's about supporting you in your studies. So I think those are some tips off the top of my head. I mean, how are we doing, Yolanda?
Those are great tips. One thing that I'm aware of that we didn't say, which is really important, is that these major awards have a deadline. So to Peter's point about the fact that you need to give your referees ample time to write you letters of reference, and you need to give yourself ample time to write a really strong essay. You need to keep in mind that there is a hard deadline for that, and that deadline is January 15th. So it is coming up soon. That's one of the reasons we're having this webinar right now, to give you time to start thinking about it. If you haven't already applied to King's, we would definitely encourage you to do that soon as well. Of course, you can apply anytime before March 1st and be considered for general entrance awards. And if you have questions about how to apply, just recently on our YouTube channel, we uploaded a really helpful video that walks you through the whole application. So you can check that out as well. I feel like there are a few more questions that have come from the Q&A. So I just want to make sure that we have considered those. Oh, one of them was, when is the deadline for major scholarships? Thank you for asking that. We should have mentioned it earlier. Like I said, it's January 15th. That is a firm deadline. So thank you for asking. And of course, March 1st is the deadline to apply to be considered for the general entrance scholarships. Another person in our webinar asked, when will I find out if I got accepted to a program? Great question. That depends a little bit on when you applied and if your application is complete. So depending on the program you applied for, we might be looking for specific information from you. For example, if you applied for our journalism program, we would have asked you to send in a autobiographical sketch. And if we have all the pieces we need to mark an application as complete, we review them on a rolling basis. So it usually takes a couple weeks to get through an application from the time it's complete to the time we can send out a decision. If you have already applied, person who asked that question, and you are waiting for a specific response, feel free to email us at admissions@ukings.ca, and we can give you an update on the status of your application. There was another question about if it's necessary to send in a copy of a transcript as part of an application. The answer is yes, that will probably be required for any program that you're applying for. And again, we can give you more specific detail about the admission process if you want to send us a note at admissions@ukings.ca. Another question in our chat group was if there's a limit on how many major awards you can apply to.
Nope.
No, yeah, apply for more than one.
You want to make, there's no point in applying for awards that you're not eligible for if they're specially designated. But no, you're certainly eligible to apply for more than one, and often people do, and it's quite a rewarding experience for committee members to see the same name come up more than once, and having the opportunity to look over the materials in a slightly different context each time. So if you're eligible, I would say there's no reason for not applying to more than one.
Definitely.
Yep.
There's another question here that is about the deadlines for the scholarships for our graduate and advanced studies programs. So I should have clarified this from the beginning, but this webinar really is focusing on our undergraduate awards for incoming students, or new student undergraduate awards. We also have in-course awards for undergraduate students. So those would be awards that you could be eligible for maybe between the time you were a first-year student and a second year, or between second year and third year, for example, or third and fourth. Those are called in-course awards. And then there is a whole separate pool and separate application process for the awards that our graduate students or advanced program students are looking at. So here at King's, we have a one-year Bachelor of Journalism program, which is an advanced program. It's for students that already have their first university degree, their undergraduate degree. We also offer a Master's of Journalism program and a Master of Fine Arts program. And the goal of this webinar today, unfortunately, we just wanted to make sure we could say what we could say in about 30 minutes. So we've decided to focus on the undergraduate awards. But I would be happy to the person who asked that question to tell you more about our graduate awards in particular. Send us an email at admissions@ukings.ca. I'll send you all the links to dates, deadlines, the important things that you need to know. The deadlines for those, generally speaking, are February 15th, I believe. But that's something that I'd be happy to confirm. Just get in touch with us. So that's the basic gist of questions we've been asked. I've got about 3 minutes left in this. So if there are other questions, oh, here we go. When do varsity athletes find out if they'll be considered for a team? That's a great question. And I'm glad you asked too, because I feel like I could say a little bit more here about the Deborah Dean Little Varsity Athletic Awards, which are kind of a really special award. We're particularly excited about them at King's because they're kind of a newer award that we're offering. We just started offering them last year. So they still feel like very fresh and exciting in our community. And I think that's because they're, really impactful awards that are really having a profound impact on the students that have received them. So that's very exciting. So for our Varsity Athletic Awards, you don't need to write the original essay to be considered for those, but you do need to be doing the foundation year program, and you need to be someone who's playing for a varsity team. So the question that was asked in our chat is, when do varsity athletes find out if they're going to be considered for a team? That can really vary depending on which sport you play and what state the coaches are in trying to put their roster together and get their team set up. So if you're not familiar with the King's varsity programs, there are basically 5 sports that we compete in at the varsity level. We've got a men's and women's soccer team, a men's and women's basketball team, men's and women's rugby, a women's volleyball team, and a co-ed badminton program. There's the best advice that I can give you if you're interested in those awards and interested in those teams and those athletic programs is to get in touch with our coaches and make sure that you're expressing your interest and letting them know that you are excited about being part of that team community. A really easy way to make sure that the coaches know about you and you're expressing your interest to them is that right on our website at ukings.ca, if you go into the section about athletics, it's under the heading Campus and Community. There's a varsity recruit form that you can fill out. You can put in your name, your email address, your contact information so the coaches can reach out to you. And you can tell them a little bit more about your background in athletics, what team you play for now, the coach you currently have who can say a little bit more about your athletic experience. Filling out that recruit form is a great way to make sure that our coaches know about you, know that you're excited. And if you do that and apply for foundation year program, we'll put you in the pool of people that we're considering for those varsity athletics scholarships. Our athletics director and our registrar's office work together to consider all the applicants, and consideration is based on you being an asset to the team and the varsity athletics program, but also based on your strong academic merit and grades. There are more that I might be missing about those, Peter?
There are quite a few of those athletic scholarships. So it's a great opportunity. And as Yolanda said, a very new and very robust form of scholarship. So if you feel like you fall in the category of varsity athlete as well as scholar, you should check them out.
So it's 7:01, which I think means it's time for us to wrap up because we've already taken 30 minutes of your time. So I just want to finish with a few really important reminders. One, the deadline for major scholarships is January 15th. Don't wait. Start working on your essay now. Start thinking about who you want to reach out to be a letter of reference now. Reach out to them soon. Give them time. That's really important. If you have more questions, you can email us at admissions@ukings.ca. We'd be happy to help. We can answer questions about scholarships, bursaries, the application process in general. We look forward to hearing from you. You can reach me at Kings by calling me on the phone if you feel like it. We can talk on an actual landline. My number is 902-422-1271, and my extension is 197. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. The other thing I want to let you know is that if you want to watch this video again, maybe you came tuned in a little late, maybe you want to catch the beginning, we're going to archive this video and put it on our YouTube channel so you can find it there. And I guess the last thing we need to say is good luck with your scholarship application.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's an exciting time, choosing university and applying for scholarships. We wish everybody the best.
You can do this.
Yeah, totally can.
Thanks for tuning in. Get in touch if you have more questions. Bye.
Bye-bye.